We are live, sir.
So, good evening, all. I am Dr. Atul Purohit, and welcoming you all on behalf of the Regional Anesthesia Forum for this second lecture of Dr. Apex Patwa in series of airway management, the basics of that. I am here to, first of all, welcome you all again on the basis of Regional Anesthesia Forum. And today, hello, am I audible, everybody? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And at the outset, I'd like to welcome and introduce to the audience very august personality that we have with us as the moderator of this date, of this talk and this webinar. I am pleased to offer to you the introduction of Dr. Avnish Bharadwaj. For us local people here, I don't think he needs any kind of introduction, but for everyone else, I'm very proud to introduce him to you as a very eminent, popular and a coveted teacher. Everyone probably would like to become one like him if he teaches any student of his. Dr. Avnish sir has been such a prolific speaker that almost no conference, no academic feast is complete without his involvement at any level. And he tends to get involved at all levels, be it organizing that or himself being on the screen or giving the small and big tips to all those who are watching the webinar or being a participant in that academic session or academic festival. Sir was he's retired as professor of anesthesia from SMS Medical College after having served it for more than 30 years. And after having retired from there as a professor, he's now giving his services to Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, and from where we have all these students who are going to present it today. You are so lucky to have him, students, as your professor and your teacher. I really envy you all, actually. Just it's such an illustrious CV that he has. I don't know if I can point out anything specific out of that. Many multiple papers, both national and international, so many theses, so many students that have passed under him. Besides all he has done, one thing that outstands so many other things is that he was the organizing secretary of the ISA National Conference 1994 that was held in Jaipur. He was the organizing secretary of that. And what a conference was that. We still remember it. I was a PG student then, and I attended that conference. Lovely, beautiful. That was fantastic. And after that, he's been involved in all small and big academic feasts out here. And ever since, he's been guiding people like us, the younger ones, younger than him. And I welcome him once again. Avnish sir, I am so proud to welcome you and hand over the mic to you for carrying over the further proceedings of this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Atul, for that introduction.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome all of you for this program. Good evening to our viewers, good evening our guest speaker, and good evening to everyone. This is an occasion which must be marked for the important step Regional Anesthesia Forum is taking place in promoting the skills and knowledge amongst anesthesiologists, particularly desirable in this COVID era when one-to-one meetings are not desirable. On behalf of Regional Anesthesia Society, I particularly congratulate for their selection of the topic, which is a very important topic. And today's talk is on cricothyroidotomy, triggers and techniques. For this talk, before we begin, I would like to pose certain questions to the audience. May I have those questions on question number 1 on the screen? The audience will be The audience will be able to attend them. I'll read out the question and 5 seconds for that, and you will attend those questions. The trigger for cricothyroidotomy should be A, CICO, that is cannot intubate, cannot oxygenate, and B, can CVF, that is complete ventilatory failure. Your time starts now.
CIC.
Time is up. Next question on the screen, please. Have you ever done a cricothyroidotomy? A choice, yes. B choice, no. Your time starts now. Time is up. Next, please. Next question, please. Next question, please.
It's already on the screen, sir.
Yeah. Percutaneous cricothyroidotomy goes faster than scalpel cricothyroidotomy. Choice A, yes. Choice B, no. Your time starts now. Time is up. Thank you. Now, I'm going to invite the postgraduate students of Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, Department of Anesthesiology. They will start their presentation to set the ball rolling for today's discussion. And this will be followed by presentation by our guest speaker. To begin with, this team is there. I can see their faces. I'll take names of them one by one. Dr. Anshul. Can you share screen,
Yes,
Anshul?
thank you, sir.
Quickly. Anshul.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Anshul. Dr. Ayush, you can wave there. Ayush, Sakshi, Shubhina, and
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Shubham. And
Yes, sir.
one more person. Yeah.
So,
Swati.
Okay. Now
is
these
the
boys are going
PPT
to
visible to everyone?
Yeah. So these boys are going to present their presentation for around 10 minutes. I'm told that they are going to present a role play in the form of a short documentary. And I'm also told that they have produced this themselves and no faculty member has been involved in directing them on how to take participation in this program. So over to the postgraduate student team from Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, Jaipur.
Thank you, Avnish, sir. A very good evening to senior faculties, respected teachers, and my dear colleagues. Today, we, the residents of Mahatma Gandhi Hospital, would like to present a webinar on difficult airway management leading to cricothyroidotomy. Our moderator is respected Dr. Avnish Bharadwaj, sir, Senior Professor, Department of Anesthesia, Mahatma Gandhi Hospital. And I am Dr. Anshul Vishnoi, along with Dr. Sakshi Kanauji, Dr. Shubhina Gupta, Dr. Shubham Jain, Dr. Ayush Gupta, and Dr. Swati Gupta are honored to have such a great opportunity today to present our webinar in front of you all. We would like to start our presentation with a short video depicting a scenario of difficult airway and the mistakes done during an emergency scenario.
हेलो सर एक इमरजेंसी केस लेना है सर। सर वो परसों जो म्यूकर का केस करवाया था ना, वही वाला केस है।
अब क्या करना है?
सर वो ENT वाले कुछ रीडिब्राइडमेंट करेंगे।
अच्छा ठीक है, चलो मैं आता हूँ, तब तक पेशेंट देख लो।
पेशेंट ठीक है?
हाँ जी सर, पेशेंट ठीक है सर 95 था रूम एयर पे सैचुरेशन, मास्क लगा के सर O2 मास्क लगा के 99 आ गया था सर। बाकी हीमोग्लोबिन पेशेंट का 9 है, 2 यूनिट PRBC अरेंज करा दिए हैं। यूरिन आउटपुट कल से थोड़ा कम था तो बाकी क्रिएटिस का 2 आया था तो, और सर पोटेशियम 5.5 था।
ओके
सर अंडर कर लें क्या सर? ये एंटी वाले सर का फोन आया था कि पेशेंट को अंदर लेके इंट्यूबेट कर लेना।
ठीक है, चलो मैं ड्रग्स देता हूँ, तुम मास्क पकड़ो। पेशेंट ARF में है और इसका पोटेशियम भी हायर साइड है। ऐसे करो, इसको स्कोलिन मत दो और रोक्योनिम मत दो, इसके लिए सिसेट्रा बना लो। ग्लाइको, पेंटागिवन, प्रोपोफॉल एंड सिसेट्रा, ऑल ड्रग्स गिवन। मास्क पकड़ो अच्छे से। स्वाति, होल्ड द मास्क।
वेंटिलेट हो, बैग नहीं खुल रहा स्वाति।
स्वाति, कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या?
हाँ सर, सर मास्क पकड़ने में दिक्कत हो रही है।
अच्छा चलो, ऐसे इंट्यूबेट कर दो।
सर कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है सर, सर बहुत लूज लूज सा है।
लाओ मुझे दो सर, बुद्धि डालू पहले।
हाँ हाँ, जो करना है करो जल्दी।
सक्शन दो। लाडू भैया पीछे से पकड़ना। नहीं जा रही सर, स्लिप हो रही है। मास्क दो वापस।
अरे यार, अपने सर को फोन करना जल्दी प्लीज, इमरजेंसी ट्रेकेओस्टमी करनी पड़ सकती है।
लाओ एलेवन दो। ये तो
नेगोशिएट
जा नहीं रही सर, नेगोशिएट नहीं हो रहा।
जी सर। सत्यारायण जी, क्रिकोथेरेटिक वाला सेट रखवाया था ना उस दिन?
जी सर, सर अलमीरा में रखा, ले आता हूँ सर।
अरे यार, क्या करते हो तुम लोग भी यार।
हाँ सर, ऐसे कर।
निडल, वायर, डायलेटर,
Now, I would like to enumerate the mistakes in the scenario depicted. First, the pre-anesthetic checkup was not done properly before the case. Mallampati was not assessed. No knowledge about the previous surgeries. Long-acting non-depolarizing muscle relaxant was given without checking if the patient could be ventilated or not. Bougie given in place of suction. Experienced ENT surgeon who is capable of performing an emergency surgical intervention for airway like surgical tracheostomy was not present at the time of intubation. Tracheostomy set was not available in the OT, as well as patient was not oxygenated with the nasal cannula at 15 liters per minute. Now, this is the management of unanticipated difficult tracheal intubation in adults. Step 1, laryngoscopy and intubation. To intubate during the first attempt at direct or video laryngoscopy. We can continue nasal oxygenation using O2 flow at 15 liters per minute. Maximum 2 or more attempts can be taken if saturation is more than 95%. Mask ventilation between attempts should be done. Optimize positions such as use of external laryngeal manipulation or releasing the cricoid pressure using of bougie or stellate if required. Then consider changing the device technique or the operator between each attempt and maintain the adequate depth of anesthesia. If we succeed, we should confirm the tracheal intubation using a capnography. If failed, resume mask ventilation with 100% oxygen and follow the step 2 guidelines for supraglottic airway device to maintain the oxygenation. We should continue nasal oxygenation with 15 liters per minute. Preferably, we should use a second generation supraglottic airway device. Maximum 2 attempts should be taken if saturation is more than 95%. Considering the change of size or type of supraglottic airway device should be done, and we should still maintain the adequate depth of anesthesia. If we succeed, we should consider the following options, like we should wake up the patient or continue the anesthesia using the supraglottic airway device if considered safe, We should intubate the patient through supraglottic airway device using a fiber optics only, with provided expertise is available, and tracheostomy. If we fail, we should go to step 3 to rescue face mask ventilation, continue the nasal oxygen at 15 liters per minute, ensure neuromuscular blockade, and final attempt to use mask ventilation for optimal technique and adjuvants. If we succeed, we should wake up the patient. If complete ventilation failure occurs, we should call for additional help and go for emergency cricothyroidotomy. Now, cricothyrotomy, also known as cricothyroidotomy, is a procedure that involves placing a tube through an incision in a cricothyroid membrane to establish an airway for oxygenation and ventilation. Rarely performed but potentially life-saving procedure of last resort in a patient with failed airway. During emergency, it is performed as a primary technique when other non-surgical options are not felt to be appropriate due to clinical circumstances. Indications for cricothyroidotomy is most commonly performed when a can intubate, can oxygenate, CICO situation is encountered, and non-surgical upper airway techniques have been unsuccessful in restoring oxygenation. In a CICO situation, placement of an extraglottic airway device like laryngeal mask airway must be attempted as a rescue maneuver or as a bridge to provide ventilation, while preparations are made to perform a cricothyrotomy. Now, indications include massive hemorrhage, profound emesis, trismus, obstructing lesions like tumor or polyp, upper airway occlusion like edema, foreign body, and anaphylaxis, broad array of traumatic and congenital deformities. Now, there is no absolute contraindication in adults, while relative contraindications include fracture of larynx, laryngotracheal disruption, transaction of trachea with retraction of distal trachea into the mediastinum. Preparation includes informed consent, intravenous catheterization, oxygen, mechanical ventilator and tubing, decantosuction catheters and tubing, scalpel with blade number 10 and 20, tracheal dilator, a curved tracheostomy tube. In an adult, a number 4 curved Schiller's tube is preferred device. Alternative tube for modified tracheal tube if a tracheostomy tube is not available, and a standard tracheal tube can cut into an appropriate length. Now, this is a pictorial description of equipments used during a cricothyrotomy. Clinical anatomy, we palpate the laryngeal prominence, which forms the superior edge of the thyroid cartilage. Prominent V-shaped notch is palpable. It is often more prominent in men than women. The vocal cords are housed within and protected by the thyroid cartilage. The hyoid bone lies scapullated to the thyroid cartilage. Now, this is the cross-section anatomy of head and neck, which depicts all the vital structures along with epiglottis, vocal cords, cricoid cartilage, esophagus, trachea, hyoid bone, hyoepiglottic ligament, thyroid cartilage, and vallicula. Identification of the cricothyroid membrane. The boundaries of cricothyroid membrane are important. Thyroid cartilage lies superiorly, cricoid cartilage lies inferiorly, and cricothyroideus muscles lies laterally on both sides. Located about 2 cm caudal to the laryngeal prominence and can be identified as a slight depression. The cricothyroid arteries are branches of superior thyroid artery that course along the sides of the cricothyroid membrane and anastomose in the midline, closer to the superior border of the membrane. Now, this is the pictorial description of blood supply of cricothyroid membrane. We can clearly see that the superior thyroid artery and vein comes down to make a cricothyroid artery and vein. Now, this is the pictorial description of all the structures of thyroid, cricoid, and hyoid bone. Now, USG for cricothyrotomy, it has been proposed as a method of identifying the cricothyroid membrane. However, once a CICO situation is encountered, it's too late to use ultrasound, as this will waste the precious time. It is important to mark the cricothyroid membrane using the same position in which a cricothyrotomy will be performed, as larynx is a fairly mobile structure. Procedure, patient positioning is important. Place the patient in a supine position on a stretcher. Extend the patient's neck to obtain the widest exposure of cricothyroid membrane. Pre-oxygenate the patient. Analgesia and sedation is required if a patient is agitated and struggling. Ketamine is an excellent choice in this situation. Skin preparation to avoid any infection. Monitoring, monitor heart rate, rhythm, blood pressure, respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, end-tidal CO2, EtCO2 throughout the procedure. Now, the procedure methods, technique for cricothyrotomy are: first, performance of scalpel finger bougie, also known as bougie assisted technique, standard technique, rapid 4-step technique, and Seldinger's technique. Now we'll describe the Seldinger's technique as we have described in the video. The Cook-Melker kit includes the following: 6 ml syringe, 18 gauge needle with overlaying catheter, guide wire, tissue dilator, modified airway catheter. Step 1, needle insertion into the cricothyroid membrane at a 45-degree angle with a needle-oriented Codley. Placing a small amount of saline over the syringe help to identify when the trachea is entered. Step 2, guide wire insertion through the catheter. Step 3, incision of skin and cricothyroid membrane. Step 4, airway catheter insertion over guide wire. Step 5, dilator and guide wire removal. Step 6, securing the airway catheter. Now this is the pictorial description of how a Seldinger's technique cricothyroidectomy is performed in step-by-step manner. Complications. The most frequent early complication is incorrect performance of the procedure, resulting in damage to the cartilaginous structure or failure to achieve airway access. Bleeding occurs early and is usually not severe. Other early complications include laceration of thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, or the tracheal rings, perforation of the posterior trachea, unintentional tracheostomy, passage of tube into an extratracheal location. Subcutaneous air raises the concern for such injuries and infection. Follow-up care. Appropriate ventilator settings are made for the patient. Adequate sedation and analgesia should be provided as needed. Follow-up care for the tracheostomy tube is provided by admitting service in consultation with surgery or otolaryngology as the case dictates. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul and Team Mahatma Gandhi. You have very nicely left certain gaps deliberately in your role play to make it more natural and to display the kind of errors and lapses people commit, and that may result into an unanticipated difficult airway. Before we proceed further, I would like to inform the viewers and audience that they can send their questions in the chat box, which will be taken up after the guest lecture is taken place. By this time, I hope that the results of the survey must be ready. But before that, I would like to invite our guest speaker today, and I think he will be happy to get the results. So this is my great pleasure to introduce to our viewers a name which is very well known in the anesthesia circles now, a master and airway manager, Dr. Apesh Patwa. He is, could you flash Yogesh? I don't see his CV here, although I know him. And he is a senior consultant in Kailash Cancer Hospital and Research Center, and has done yeoman's service to the development of airway management for anesthesia and emergency physicians. I would like to mention his few important contributions to this field and his love and devotion for this area of airway management. He has been one of the authors of the very important and widely followed and widely respected consensus guideline for airway management in operation rooms, given by All India Difficult Airway Association. It was published in the Indian Journal of Anesthesia in 2016 in volume 16. He has also been a co-author of AIDAA Difficult Airway Guidelines, which were published in this issue, which I have mentioned. He has been a winner of ISA Academic Excellence Award in 2017. He has been a course director of AIDA Fellowship for Advanced and Difficult Airway Management. He has been a faculty for more than 150 state, regional, national, and international conferences on airway and allied subjects. And he has also designed and developed Patwa SHA-1 video laryngoscope, which all of you know, And he has also developed the HFNO2 and HFNO device, which is very useful for management of difficult airway. He has got several publications and has written chapter in several books. With that brief introduction, I welcome and invite Dr. Apesh Patwa to take up the proceedings further. If he likes, he can, I think, call the results of the survey. I again remind to the viewers that during the presentation of Dr. Patwa, they can send their questions in the chat box so that they can be taken up after the presentation is over. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your kind introduction. So we'll start with the question first to the who has presented the case. Anshul, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
So rather than questions, where were you at fault? You mentioned the few places where you were at fault. Fine. During the case scenario.
Sir.
What was that?
Yes, sir.
Airway examination.
Malampati grade. Yes, sir.
Fine. Then.
So the pre-anesthetic checkup was not done.
Then. What else?
Then, sir, secondly, we did not assess. The suction was not ready. We could not assess the entire airway. Malampati scoring was not done for the patient.
Actually, airway card was not ready.
We did not know if there was. Yes, sir.
Airway
so cricothyrotomy and tracheostomy tubes were not ready.
Whole airway card was not ready. Over and above that, you are not continue with the high flow nasal oxygen at 15 liters per minute. Other things.
Yes, sir.
When the who was the Swati was ventilating the patient? Who was ventilating the patient in video?
She could not ventilate.
So another thing I have observed, the grip was not proper. Ventilation grip was not proper. Then you are not optimized. Then you have not optimized the patient position. That is another thing. Then boogie was handled in a wrong way.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then Scheldinger technique was selected. That is another wrong decision. Then you were thinking of tracheostomy. That was again a wrong decision. For ventilating a patient, you have not used the supraglottic airway devices.
Yes. So we used the iGel and tried to intubate the patient using it.
That was not on the video. But I'm talking about the videos, not the real sense. Whatever the video you have, I'm talking about that.
Yes, sir.
So these are the small mistakes which is having impact on the success of cricothyrotomy. We'll discuss during the session how to go ahead to improve your skill and decision making also and planning also. Fine. So
yes,
I think these results are result ready.
Yogesh, can you please display the results of the poll?
I stop share. Or else we can continue. That's not an issue. The first question was the trigger for cricothyrotomy should be yes, his result is sharing. So CICO, almost all of who has attempted CICO is the trigger for, should be the trigger for cricothyrotomy. That is wrong. So we'll discuss why it is wrong. So answer is complete ventilation failure should be the trigger for cricothyrotomy.
Dr. Patwa, you have already mentioned it in the consensus guideline published in the IGF. Please elaborate for our viewers and let them know the difference in complete ventilatory failure and CICO. What is the difference in the degree of oxygenation which is being done, please?
Sure, sir. Sir, my focus will be on that. What is the difference between CVF and CICO, and why we should go for complete ventilation failure as a trigger rather than going for a CICO. Fine. The next question, answer the second question. None of the attendance or none of the delegates done the cricothyroidotomy. And third, PCT goes faster than the scalpel. No. Again, this is a wrong answer. So our focus will be understanding the CICO, CVF, scalpel versus PCT. What? Fine. So I'll try to clear the trigger point for the cricothyroidotomy. So it has been well described in the 2016 guideline. What should be the trigger for emergency cricothyroidotomy? I'm going to focus on the emergency cricothyroidotomy. So it has been made very clear that complete ventilation failure should be the trigger point for emergency cricothyroidotomy. Now, what is CVF and what is CICO, we'll discuss later. So why we need to have a lecture on cricothyroidotomy? See, in most of the conference, most of the webinars or seminars or workshop, you hardly find the lecture on cricothyroidotomy. Then why we have selected this lecture to be included in this airway series? Why? Team Anshul. Why we need to learn this thing?
Sir, it's an emergency and life-saving procedure, and one must be very confident as well as trained enough to perform this procedure. Secondly, we need to choose in which patient in which patient we should perform this maneuver rather than in which we should not.
Fine. So means all of you are clear that we should learn the cricothyroidotomy because it's a life-saving procedure. It's an exit plan for an anesthesiologist. True? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so we are very clear that we should learn emergency. We should have a lecture. We should have a workshop. We should have a hands-on training on emergency cricothyroidotomy because it's a life-saving procedure. And that is our exit plan. But
yes, sir.
How many of you have done the cricothyroidotomy? As per the poll, none. No one has done the cricothyroidotomy.
No.
So if you have not done the cricothyroidotomy, when emergency situation arises or happening, how will you able to do the emergency cricothyroidotomy? It's not possible. So important thing, you have to do emergency cricothyroidotomy. You have to do a practice on cadavers or lung models or trachea airway model at least 5 times in a 6 month. Then and then you will be able to retain the expertise. Fine. Suppose you have done it. How many of you have seen the cricothyroidotomy? I think answer is none. You have not seen it, you have not done it.
No.
So if you have not done it, if you have not seen it, when situation arises to do a cricothyroidotomy, how will you be able to do it? It's not possible. Fine. Suppose you have seen it, you have done it. But how many of you are able to locate cricothyroid membrane in a patient or among yourself?
Yes, sir.
How many among your 6?
Sir, all of them.
All?
Yes, sir.
Sure of locating?
Yes,
Will be
sir.
able to locate in all of the cases you have been given?
Not all the cases, in majority of the cases, sir. Except
So there's another problem.
in obese patients.
Obese patients. Orbic
Fine.
trauma.
So according to NAP4 results, 57% of the anesthesiologists were not able to locate the cricothyroid membrane when they have been asked to do so. So that's the biggest limitations. So when we have in emergency or in a planned cases or as a part of PSC, it's not a habit to locate the emergency, locate the cricothyroid membrane. Make a habit of locating cricothyroid membrane as a part of PSC. I'm sure that if you are able to locate 15, 20, 30, 50 cricothyroid membrane, when need arises, you will be able to locate. So at the end of the session, I will let you know how to ideally locate the cricothyroid membrane. Fine. So make a habit. So if you forget to do in a PSC, do it before induction. If you forget to do before doing induction, do it after induction. Suppose you forget to do after inductions, at the time of recovery, locate. Suppose you forget after recovery, go into the ward and locate. So locate the cricothyroid membrane. That is the most important thing. So if you know the technique, if you have done it, but if you are not able to locate the locate the cricothyroid membrane, when need arises, you are not able to perform the emergency cricothyroid. So it should be a habit. It should be part of your pre-anesthesia checkup. So from tomorrow onwards, start locating each and every patient when you do PSC. Locate the cricothyroid membrane. That is very important. Until unless you have located more than 30-40 cricothyroid membrane, you will not be sure of locating the cricothyroid membrane of a patient when emergency arises. So make an habit. How many of you know the technique? Actual technique? All of you? Yes or no?
We have read about it.
You have read about it.
Yes.
Read about it.
Fine. So what happens? You have read about it, you have not done it, you have not seen it. So when need, so if you have seen it, if you have done it, if you are able to locate, but if you're not knowing the actual technique or proper technique, you can't have a success when there is emergency. Fine. This is very important. How many of you are preparing the crico set ready before giving anesthesia? None. I'm sure the answer is none. So that's the biggest limitation. So we know the cricothyroidotomy is our survivor, is our exit plan. Still, we are not keeping cricothyroidotomy set ready when you induce the patient. So that is another thing. Make a habit of preparing cricothyroid set in each and every OT as a part of preparations. So all the OT should have cricothyroidotomy set ready. All the OT. So suppose you induce the patient, you are not able to intubate the patient for 3 times with 3 attempts. You are not able to pass the supraglottic airway devices, or not able to ventilate the patient with the face mask. Then you need to go ahead with the cricothyroidotomy. And set is not ready. God is not going to give a proper time to do it. You can't buy the time. So everything should be ready before induction. So another habit, change your habit. Keep crico set ready in each and every OT. When to perform cricothyroidotomy? Most of you have given the answer CICO. Cannot intubate, cannot oxygenate, as per the opinion poll. But it should not be the trigger point for cricothyroidotomy. The trigger point should be complete ventilation failure. So, why we fail when emergency arises to do the cricothyrotomy? Because we are not able to make a proper decision. Most of the time we are not able to identify the cricothyroid membrane. Suppose we are able to do something, we are able to make a decision making and able to identify, but we don't know the technique most of the times. In spite of knowing the technique, if resources is not available, if you are not prepared the cricothyrotomy, you are going to be failed in emergency cricothyrotomy, and there is no second chance. And there is certain technical failure. You make a stab incision in the cricothyroid membrane, but you are not able to negotiate the tube inside. So we need to rectify all the causes of failure, because when you are encountering emergency cricothyrotomy, there is no second chance. You should know the proper decision making. You should be sure of identifying the cricothyroid membrane. You should know the technique. There should be availability of the cricothyrotomy set, and there should not be any technical failure. That is very important. So if you failed with the laryngoscopy, you are having second and third chance. But you failed with the cricothyrotomy, you don't have any chance. That's the exit point. So learning cricothyrotomy should be the first choice. You should start learning the cricothyrotomy before taking the laryngoscope in your hand. Because this is your patient's life-saving procedure. And proper success, we need to have a clear-cut understanding of decision-making, proper planning and preparations, and proper skill acquisitions. So I'll try to focus on these 3 points during today's session. So most of you have given the answer. The trigger point is CICO, and it's the wrong answer. The answer should be complete ventilation failure. Now, what is CICO? Anyone of you can give the answer.
In any given situation, if we cannot completely oxygenate the patient either with the bag mask ventilation or with the supraglottic airway devices, and we cannot intubate with the traditional laryngoscope, video laryngoscope, or along with intubating LMAs, then it gives, and more than 3 attempts and more than 10 minutes of intubating attempt, then it arises a situation of cannot intubate or cannot oxygenate the patient.
Fine. So according to you, cannot intubate means with the 3 attempts of laryngoscopy, you are not able to pass the tube into the trachea,
Yes.
into the larynx. Fine.
Yes,
What do you mean by cannot oxygenate?
sir.
So discuss what is CVF and what is CICO. So CICO cannot intubate and cannot oxygenate. What do you mean by cannot oxygenate?
Sir, even after attempting oxygenation with bag and mask, nasal cannula, or with the supraglottic airway devices, or jet ventilation with jet ventilators, if we cannot ventilate the patient, the saturation is not increasing and it's dropping.
100% oxygen and with positive pressure mask ventilation. If we are not able to maintain the saturation of the patient for more than 90%, when initially before induction or before intervention of anesthesia, the saturation was more than 90%.
So this is the common confusion among the most of the anesthesiologists. Cannot oxygenate. Your label cannot oxygenate mean not able to maintain the saturation at 90. True? So suppose
Yes, sir.
you are making the attempts of laryngoscopy, you failed with the laryngoscopy, and suppose you are failed with the supraglottic airway, you failed with the face mask, and patient saturation goes down to 90 and is maintaining on 90. So according to you, this cannot oxygenate. Should we go for emergency cricothyrotomy or not?
No, sir.
No,
Sir,
sir.
if the
So it's a CICO.
saturation falls less than 60, we can.
less than 60. So if saturation is falling less than 60, you hardly get 10-15 seconds more before arrest to perform the cricothyrotomy. Saturation goes to 60. So what is cannot oxygenate? Saturation 90 or saturation of 95, not able to maintain saturation 95, not able to maintain saturation 90. So it's confused term. Cannot oxygenate. Someone is saying 60, someone is saying 90, someone is saying 95, someone is saying 75, someone is saying 80. So it's not defined term. Cannot oxygenate is not defined term. It's a confusing term. You don't know at what saturation point you should take the knife and do the emergency cricothyrotomy. Someone is doing the cricothyrotomy at 90, someone is at 70, someone is at 60. Even you all of you are confused when to go for emergency cricothyrotomy. At saturation 70 or 80. If you will go at 80, if you will go at 70, if you will go at 60, if you will still wait for 40. Now another thing. Suppose saturation is going down, and once it reaches the 90, when it goes down very fast, all of you will agree on that point. After once it reaches the 90, there will be a sudden fall, fast fall of saturation. And if you and that with the fast fall, suppose at 60 or 70, you are taking the knife in your hand to do the emergency cricothyrotomy. You will not able to do the emergency cricothyrotomy with such pressure, because then psychological factor is going to have an impact on you, because saturation is going from 70 to 60, 50, 45, 30 in 3, 4, 5 seconds. So when you take the trigger point at CICO, there will be a huge pressure on you to perform the emergency cricothyrotomy, and that's the one of the biggest reason of failure for emergency cricothyrotomy in emergency. Second thing, you are not clear at what saturation we should go for emergency cricothyrotomy, at 90, 80, 70, 60. So when you are not clear in your mind at what saturation I will go for emergency cricothyrotomy, then you will not able to make a optimal, proper decision when emergency arises. So we are just blindly following the guideline which has been described outside the India, which has been developed outside the India. Think over it. Just do not accept the guideline blindly. CICO. What is CO? No one is able to define till date. Cannot oxygenate. So in 2016, we had a lot of discussion among our task force meeting, and we have changed the trigger point from CICO to CVF. We have adopted a new word that is called complete ventilation failure as a trigger point for emergency cricothyrotomy. Now, what is complete ventilation failure, and what is the difference between CICO and CVF? For that, we need to understand the guideline, not read the guideline. So that has been published in 2016 in Indian Journal of Anesthesia by All India Difficult Airway Association. So it's a systematic approach when you fail with the first laryngoscopy. So step 1 is unable to intubate with the first attempt at direct or video laryngoscopy. So the algorithm start from first failed attempt of laryngoscopy, whether it's a direct laryngoscopy or whether it's a video laryngoscopy. If you are not intubate the patient at the first attempt of direct or video laryngoscopy, whatever you have chosen, First thing you need to do is to make a call for help. Don't wait for another failure. That is very important. So if you fail with the only first attempt, make a call for help. Ask someone, call someone to help you out for the next attempt. So that improves patient safety. In most of the other guidelines, call for help has been made when they took the decision, when they take the decision of doing emergency cricothyrotomy at CICO. And when you make the call for help, when you encounter CICO, saturation is already falling down. The fellow is going to join you, is not going to help you out. So when you fail with the first attempt, don't make it an ego issue. When you fail with the first attempt of laryngoscopy, make a call for help. Call someone to join you for airway management. That is very important. Don't wait till the last step. Another thing, so when you fail with the first attempt, important thing, you should start the induction with 15 liter per minute oxygen flow through the nasal cannula. And it should be continued once you fail with the first attempt also. It should not be stopped. It should be continued. Another 2 attempt is allowed. Further 2 attempt is allowed. So what happens? Most of the time what we do a laryngoscopy with the first attempt and we'll repeat the same procedure again, same technique again. So if you are repeating the same thing, there are likely chances of failure again and again and again and again. So don't do it. When you are going for a second attempt has to be made by either changing the device or changing the technique or by changing the operator. There has to be something different than the first one. Then there will be likely chances of success at the second attempt. If you are repeating the same thing, you are not going to get success. It's just a repetition of the same thing, what you have done in the first attempt. And second attempt has to be made if SpO2 is more than 95 only. And in between the attempts, always ventilate with the mask. Try to maintain the SpO2 above 95. And second, when you are making second or third attempt, optimize the position. If required, use external laryngeal manipulations. If required, use boogie or stillet. And if required, release the cricoid pressure. So this is very important. Don't just repeat the same attempt again and again and again. So when you are making the second and third attempt, it should be with a different technique or different device or with different operator or with the different manipulations or with the intubating aids like boogie or stillet. So if you are succeeded with the laryngoscopy with 3 attempts, then you can confirm the endotracheal tube placement with the ETCO2. That has been made mandatory. So confirmation of endotracheal tube placement with the ETCO2 is a mandatory thing. Suppose you are not able to pass the endotracheal tube with 3 attempts, then it's called failed intubation. An important thing, don't try to attempt any attempt of laryngoscopy without adequate depth of anesthesia. So always maintain optimal depth of anesthesia before each attempts. That is very important. So suppose you failed with the 3 attempts. What should be done next? What should be the next step? The next step is supraglottic airway insertion, device insertion to maintain oxygenation. Again, when you are trying to pass the supraglottic airway devices, or when you are in the step 2, continue oxygen 50 liters per minute through a nasal cannula. And when you are making a selection of supraglottic airway devices, preferably use second generation supraglottic airway devices. And maximum 2 attempts of supraglottic airway are recommended, not more than that. So don't inserting 1 attempt, 2 attempt, 3 attempt, 4 attempt, don't do it. Stop at 2 attempts of supraglottic airway devices. Suppose you are not able to ventilate with the first attempt of supraglottic airway devices. Now you are making the second attempt. Try to maintain oxygenation above 95 with the mask ventilation. And then go for a second attempt of supraglottic. And again, don't repeat the same technique, same insertion with the same supraglottic airway devices. This is the time to rethink. Change the size and type of supraglottic airway devices when you are making the second attempt of supraglottic airway devices. And again, this should be done with optimal depth of anesthesia. That is very important. So suppose with the 2 attempts of supraglottic airway devices, you are able to ventilate the patient and maintain the oxygenation. Then you are having 4 options left with you. Safest, awaken the patient. But it is necessary to go ahead with the surgery. You can continue with the surgery if feasible and safe. Or third, you can go for a tracheostomy also. Or you can pass the endotracheal tube through the supraglottic airway devices with the help of flexible endoscopic fiber optic intubation through the supraglottic. So many of the anesthesiologists are just trying to pass the endotracheal tube blindly to the supraglottic airway devices. That is absolutely a wrong concept. Do not pass endotracheal tube through the supraglottic airway devices blindly. When you are in the step 2 of this algorithm, when you already failed with the 3 attempts of laryngoscopy and you are passing the supraglottic airway, don't intubate the patient blindly through the supraglottic airway devices. Always pass the endotracheal tube with the help of fiber optic intubation, and that requires skill. So I learn that skill also. Then and then opt for that option. So suppose you failed with the supraglottic airway devices, you are not able to pass the supraglottic airway devices with the 2 attempts. What should be the next? Then again, there is a rescue face mask ventilation. Here again, continue with the 15 liters per minute oxygen through the nasal cannula. And now this is the attempt of mask ventilation for a rescue. So when you are doing rescue face mask ventilation, it should be done with the optimal technique and adjuvant and with optimal neuromuscular blockade. So that is very important. When you are doing step 3, rescue face mask ventilation, it should be done with optimal relaxant effect. Because with relaxants, success of face mask ventilation, efficacy of face mask ventilation improves. And if you're able to ventilate the patient with the face mask, then awaken the patient. But if you are not able to ventilate the patient with the face mask, so you are end up of non-ventilating a patient. You are not able to ventilate the patient either with tube, means you failed with the laryngoscopy initially, then you are not able to ventilate the patient. You are already failed with the ventilation with the supraglottic airway devices, and you are not able to ventilate the patient with the face mask. So you are not able to ventilate the patient by any means, not with the tube, not with the supraglottic airway devices, and not with the face mask. So this is called complete ventilation failure. So at this point, that's the trigger of emergency cricothyrotomy. So when you are ending up with a complete ventilation failure, means you are not able to ventilate the patient with tube, with SAD, and with mask, then you should go for emergency cricothyrotomy. So another important, what is the difference between CICO and CVF? So what happens? So you are not able to ventilate, you are not able to ventilate the patient with the tube. But you are able to maintain the saturation is 95, which is remains same during the supraglottic cavity insertion, and which is remain the same at the face mask ventilation. Saturation is normal, but you are not able to ventilate the patient by any means. Still, you should go for emergency cricothyrotomy, whether oxygenation is normal or not. That is very important. So when you fail with the tube, when you fail with the supraglottic, when you fail with the mask ventilation, whether saturation is normal or not, you should, that is called complete ventilation failure, that's the trigger, you should go for emergency cricothyrotomy. It's possible that with the failure, because you are continuing with the high flow oxygen, 15 liters per minute, or you are in between possible to ventilate the patient in the first attempt, but when it comes to the rescue face mask ventilation, you are not able to ventilate the patient, but saturation is normal. Still, it's a complete ventilation failure. You don't know where your oxygen going to go down. So at that point of time, take the knife in your hand and go for emergency cricothyrotomy. So what is the difference between CICO and CUF? The complete ventilation failure is not oxygen dependent trigger point, while CICO is oxygen dependent trigger point. And it's a confusing term. And suppose at complete ventilation failure and oxygenation failure happens after ventilation failure. So you will be having proper time to do an emergency cricothyrotomy. Oxygen failure can't happen before ventilation failure. Clear? So first there is a ventilation failure and then there will be oxygenation failure. So when there is a ventilation failure, don't wait for oxygen to fail. At this point, do the emergency complete ventilation failure, do the emergency cricothyrotomy. So you will be having a time to perform the emergency cricothyrotomy without any much psychological pressure. And when you are doing emergency cricothyrotomy, again you should have to continue the 15 liters per minute flow through a nasal cannula. Patient should be optimally relaxed. It should be done under relaxation. It cannot be done when patient is struggling or you are struggling. You need to ensure optimal relaxation before performing emergency cricothyrotomy. And you will be having a choice of doing different techniques. You can choose surgical cricothyrotomy, wide bore cannula cricothyrotomy, or needle cricothyrotomy, depending on your expertise and skill. But as per the evidences, surgical cricothyrotomy is much easier to perform, and you can perform it very fast. So it's easier technique to learn also. So I think it's clear. What should be the trigger point? It's a complete ventilation failure.
Yes, sir.
Not cannot intubate, cannot oxygenate. Because cannot oxygenate, you can't define. At what saturation you should hold the knife, that you can't define. I think it's clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for CICO to develop.
Yes.
Yeah,
Don't wait to oxygen to go down. So what is the preparation? What should be the planning? So before induction, you should keep ready. See surgical cricothyrotomy. emergency cricothyroidectomy hardly require 3 things. 1, 10 number knife, 4 friends gum elastic boogie, and 5.5 or 6 mm endotracheal tube. That's all. Nothing more is required. And if you look at the cost, knife 30 rupees, boogie 300 rupees, and tube 70 rupees. Is costing hardly 400 rupees. So those who are in a corporate practice or teaching institute, they should keep cricothyrotomy set ready, boogie, knife, and 5.5 number endotracheal tube in each operation theater. Those who are going to do a private practice, freelancer practice, it's a question of 400 rupees. They can purchase the things and keep in their kit, because it's a life-saving technique. And it should be done with the completely supine position with the extended neck, and if required, keep the pillow underneath the shoulder to extend the neck. How to palpate the cricothyroid membrane? Before that, we'll go for anatomy of cricothyroid membrane. What is this?
Thyroid.
Very good. This one?
Thyroid.
cartilage.
This one?
Cricoid cartilage.
And this one is?
Cricothyroid membrane.
Cricothyroid membrane. And the vessel passes at the superior surface of the cricothyroid. So if you look at this video, so during the surgical technique, you need to make a direct stab into the cricothyroid membrane here. A direct vertical stab, perpendicular. You need to make a perpendicular stab. It's not an incision, it's a stab into the cricothyroid membrane. Look at this video. This is the cricothyroid membrane here. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Look at
Yes,
the
sir.
Yes, look at the posterior portion of the cricoid cartilage. It's completely covered posteriorly. So if you make a direct stab here, it's not going to make a puncture in the posterior tracheal wall because of the shape of the cricoid cartilage. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So again, showing the video. So look at, if you're making direct stab here, so it's going to hit the posterior cricoid part, posterior part of the cricoid cartilage. Now, how to locate? What is laryngeal handshake? Have you heard about the laryngeal handshake? So when you grab someone's neck with our hand like this, and the structure you are not able to move, is not laryngeal handshake. When you grab someone's neck like this, and if you're able to move the structure, that is larynx. If you whole neck, you are not able to move. And if you hold it like this, you are able to move. That is always larynx. Clear? Fine. Now, how to palpate a cricothyroid membrane? Just look at me and then you follow. So with the thumb and index finger, it should be kept on this is a modified technique, on the angle of mandible, both angles of the mandible. Clear? Then you need to roll both the finger medially, not downward. It should be rolled medially. So I am rolling medially. The first bone you are going to feel, that is, with the thumb and middle finger, not index finger, thumb and middle finger. At angle of mandible, rolled it medially. The first bone you are going to feel, that is hyoid. Then fine. Then roll your both the thumb and middle finger downward. You will feel there is a deepening. Feeling it happening there?
Yes, sir.
That is thyroid.
Yes, sir.
That is thyroid membrane.
Thyroid.
Then roll your finger, both thumb and middle finger downward. You are able to feel the cartilaginous hard structure. That is thyroid cartilage. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now keep this index finger at the midpoint of the mandible and roll your finger, index finger downward. The first bone you are going to feel, that is hyoid. Then you will feel the deepening, that is thyroid membrane. Then you are on the thyroid knot. Roll your finger downward from the thyroid knot. Second deepening you are going to feel, that is thyroid membrane. This is easier way to locate. Fine. So you can fix up the thyroid or roll your finger downward, middle finger and thumb downward to fix the cricoid. So when you are locating the cricothyroid membrane, you need to fix either thyroid or cricoid. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So from tomorrow onwards, locate each patient's cricothyroid membrane as a part of PSC. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now coming to the actual technique. See, so I'm going to show you on the lung or goat lung model. So first thing, trigger point is emergency cricothyroid is CVF, not CICO. Position of the patient should be extended neck. Keep pillow under the shoulder if required. Ensure optimal relaxation, complete neuromuscular block. And the primary requisite 10 number knife, 4 French gum elastic boogie, and 5.5 mm ID endotracheal tube. Why 5.5 ID endotracheal tube? Why not 7? Why not 8? Why not 9?
Because the diameter is too big for the 7 and 7.5 tube. The outer diameter of
5.6, 5.5.
Yes. Usually the horizontal diameter of the cricothyroid membrane is 8 mm to 10 mm. Fine. And the OD of this 5.5 or 6 mm endotracheal tube is roughly 7.5 to 8 mm. That's the reason you should select the tube 5.5. Otherwise, you'll find difficulty in negotiating the tube. It's not possible to negotiate the larger size tube. Then three things. You should keep 10 number knife ready, gum elastic boogie ready, and a 5.5 endotracheal tube ready. And you should stand on left of the patient. Always stand left of the patient and hold the knife in from the right hand in such a way the sharp edge of the knife face towards you. Look at this.
You need to prepare 1 10 number knife with handle, gum elastic boogie, and 5.5 number endotracheal tube size. You should be on the left side of the patient and you should extend the patient head and neck and hold the knife in such a way that sharp edge face towards you and make a direct step over the cricothyroid.
See, look, I have hold it from the right side and the sharp edge is facing towards me, is facing me. Fine. And you need to make a direct horizontal step into the cricothyroid membrane. It's not an incision, it's a step.
Thyroid membrane. Once you look at the cricothyroid membrane,
Fix the cricothyroid membrane with the fix the cricoid cartilage and fill the cricothyroid membrane from the left hand and make a direct step into the
lower part of the cricothyroid.
At the lower part of cricothyroid.
1 10 number knife with and hold and make a.
You should make a step at the lower part of cricothyroid membrane because superior surface there is a superior thyroid artery and vein is crossing.
direct step over the cricothyroid membrane. Once you look at the cricothyroid membrane on the lower part of the cricothyroid membrane, like this. Once you make a direct step, over the cricothyroid membrane, once you look at the cricothyroid, this. Once you make a direct step, rotate the knife so the sharp end goes caudally. And
so this is another step, important step. Once you make a step, then rotate the knife in a such a way that sharp edge goes caudally. So what is the purpose of doing it? Suppose you are making a direct step with the right hand, then rotate the knife in such a way that sharp edge goes caudally. So this will make a appropriate size rand into the cricothyroid membrane.
Then pull the knife towards you. So it has already made a.
So once you rotate the knife in such a way that sharp edge goes caudally, then pull the knife towards you. When you pull the knife towards you, then change the grip. Change the grip of knife.
Good hand. Right hand to left. Then hold the boogie. Change the grip from right hand. Change the grip of the knife from the right hand to the left hand, and then hold the boogie from the opposite, from the right hand, and the coded end of the boogie should go inside the cricothyroid membrane, and it should be pass inside up to 7 to 10 centimeter. Once you advance your gum elastic boogie into cricothyroid membrane, 7 to 10 centimeter, withdraw the knife from the rent. And now your boogie is inside the cricothyroid membrane and up to the trachea. Then take the endothecal tube in your right hand and withdraw the endothecal tube over the boogie into the rent which has been made into the cricothyroid membrane. And if you find resistance to pass the endothecal tube inside the cricothyroid membrane rent, then you need to make a screwing movement of the endothecal tube and push the tube inside the rent till distal end of the curve of the endothecal tube disappears. Once it disappears, then remove the boogie from the.
Remove the boogie, inflate the cup, and then start ventilating a patient.
Tube. And start ventilating.
So again, repeating. CVF. Trigger point is CVF. Keep 10 number knife, 5.5 endothecal tube, and 4 French gum elastic boogie ready. When you are encountering the complete ventilation failure, you have to go ahead with the cricothyroidotomy. It should be performed with the optimal relaxation with patient head and neck, extension of the neck. If required, keep the shoulder underneath, keep the pillow underneath the shoulder to extend the neck. You should keep yourself on the left of the patient, hold the knife with the right hand, and hold the knife in such a way that sharp edge faces towards you. And then make a direct step into the inferior part of the cricothyroid membrane. And then rotate the knife in such a way that sharp edge goes caudally. Then pull the knife towards you, change the grip from right hand to left hand, hold the knife now with the left hand, then with the right hand, hold the boogie, pass the coded end inside the rand up to 7 to 10 centimeter. Once you pass the boogie inside the 7 to 10 centimeter inside the cricothyroid rand, then railroad the endothecal tube over the boogie and advance the endothecal tube, 5.5 number endothecal tube, through the rand. And if required, make a screwing movement, and endothecal tube should pass till the advance, till the proximal end of the cuff disappears. Clear? So, is with the cricothyroidotomy, emergency cricothyroidotomy technique, trigger and technique. So we are running a fellowship on advanced and difficult airway management at our institute at Kailash Cancer Hospital with the the fellow joining is having a exposure with all type of intubation procedure, rescue procedures, supraglottic, all type of supraglottic airway devices, lung isolation technique. And we are having number of gazettes, airway gazette in our department. Thank you. So should we proceed with the question answer session now?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So,
well,
should I start, Dr. Avinash sir? Avnish sir,
Yeah.
should I ask a few questions to the Anshul and team?
Sure.
Anshul,
Yes,
now
sir.
you can find out where you had problem in that video. Where have you made the wrong decision or wrong step in your displayed video?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So well, we started preparing for the patient. Cart was not ready, the very first thing. Secondly, the patient was not assessed properly. The cricothyroid membrane was not assessed in the PAC. Then during the oxygenation, the saturation of the patient was not maintained to 95. So mask grip was loose. Supraglottic airway devices was not used. Nasal cannula was not placed to the
missed one
patient
point.
to
You were saying
oxygenate.
You did not start at CVF. You started after the oxygen saturation started falling when you were not able to ventilate.
Yes.
Yes.
CVF should have been the trigger.
Yes, sir.
Right?
And you have selected the Seldinger technique, which requires longer time to perform the cricothyroidotomy.
Surgical cricothyroidotomy would have been Bougie assisted, would have been easier, better, and faster. Yes, proceed.
So how to handle the boogie? What should be the ideal grip of the boogie when you are passing the boogie?
So the curved tip has to be passed.
How to hold? Just show me the holding. How you are holding? Holding like this.
Yes.
Fine. So when you are holding like this and passing, it will bobble. It's very difficult to. So what you need to do? Since suppose I am holding the boogie like this. So from this end, make it a curve and fix it like this. So boogie, clear?
Yes.
Fix it like that and hold it. So you will be holding the distal end or proximal end also.
Okay, sir.
So it will be easy to pass.
Okay, sir.
That is called Kiwi's grip.
Okay, sir.
And we have modified the Kiwi's grip. What we are doing, we are passing the boogie through the endothecal tube, advancing the boogie at least 2 to 3 centimeter beyond the tip of the endothecal tube. So suppose this is an endothecal tube and my boogie will be like this, and caudate end faces anteriorly of the boogie, which is outside the tube. And then I am making the curvature of the proximal end and fix it inside the tube.
Okay,
So it
sir.
will automatically hold. Then you need to just pass the tube. It will be much easier. Yes, any more questions from your side? Anyone?
Yes, sir. Sir, we have one question. Like, sir, what should be the next step in case we cannot oxygenate the patient and maintain the saturation in a step 1 or step 2?
Direct bypass all the step and directly go for a crico.
Crico.
And why?
And sir, why there should be a horizontal step and not a vertical one, even if we are avoiding the vascular bundle on the superior end?
See, what is the size? See, what is the size of the knife? Widest
around-
of the knife?
Sir, around 8 to 9
8
mm.
mm.
Yes, sir.
Many times you won't get the 8 mm space when you do a vertical step. not horizontal, vertical step.
Okay, sir. So, sir, if we do a vertical one, there are more chances of hitting the vascular bundle.
This is the patient head end.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, and this is the cricothyroid membrane is like this.
Yes, sir.
You should make the step vertical step in a horizontal manner, like this. It should not be like this.
Okay.
Clear? So this part is a cricothyroid membrane. Suppose this is the cricothyroid membrane.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So
yes, sir.
This is the knife I am holding. So
yes.
Knife should be like
sir.
this, not like this. It should be like this.
Yes, sir. So, sir.
Okay, so this is a vertical step.
So this
vertical to the neck plane and horizontal to the cricothyroid membrane. Clear?
Okay. Now we got the.
Can I intervene? Apeksha, actually, because of your virtual background, what you're showing is not exactly visible completely.
Right. And I'll try to. It's not possible. Virtual background is not possible to see. Just a minute.
All right. But that's the reason they're not able to get.
Now it's clear, I think so. Fine. So suppose this is my hand. And this one is a cricothyroid membrane like this, oval shape. This is patient head end. This is leg end. So cricothyroid membrane is like this, oval shape.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So the steps should be like this, not like this. It's a vertical step on a horizontal plane of the cricothyroid membrane. Vertical to neck. So this is vertical. So it's a vertical to neck like this. So my life is it's not like this. This is wrong. It should be like this. Like this.
So you think we should stab like this?
Yes. You are perfect answer. It's not like this.
So the that attaches the thyroid and the cricoid cartilage, it is in a plane from caudal to distal end. So the fibers are arranged like this. So if we put a horizontal stab, it will be a cutting incision rather than a splitting one.
And I'll just because this needs to be clear. It's possible to use the. I'll just share the screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is oval shape cricothyroid membrane.
Yes, sir.
You need to go.
Yes, sir.
So your knife, the sharp edge. So suppose this is left side. So sharp edge, and I'm standing on left. So sharp edge should face towards left. So knife should be like this.
Okay, sir.
This is sharp edge, and it should go like this. Yeah.
So sir, this will be a cutting incision rather than a splitting one.
No,
so the membranes will.
It's not an incision. It's a stab.
Yes, sir. So the stab will rather cut the membrane fibers rather than a splitting them.
Yes. She's directly going. I'll just show the video. If are able to pursue.
Instead of the patient.
So look, look at the knife. Then the sharp edge is facing towards me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this is head end. This is leg end.
Yes,
and look, sharp edge is facing towards me. Now making direct step.
Yes.
And look at my, see, look at this knife position. Vertical to neck plane.
Yes, sir.
But knife is going inside horizontal to the cricothyroid membrane. Clear or confused?
Okay, sir.
So I am now rotating the knife in such a way that sharp edge facing towards caudally, goes caudally.
Okay, sir.
Fine. Now look at the knife position. Now you see. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Yes, any more question?
Avnish sir, you're muted.
Yeah, so that has been a really excellent presentation by Dr. Patwa, and many of the concepts have been cleared for our viewers, particularly what should be the right trigger and how to identify cricothyroid membrane, what is the best and the fastest and most rewarding technique about the cricothyroidectomy. There are questions from my side as well, but I'm not going to put them due to paucity of time. I would like to wrap up the whole thing at this point of time with my comment that a lot is to be done regarding teaching and training of emergency cricothyroidectomy and front of neck access to the postgraduate students. I checked up with the curriculum of suggested by MCI, and there I could not see that students must be able to demonstrate the ability and skills to do cricothyroidectomy in this particular situation. There is no compulsion. This is a skill which cannot be possibly learned in a real life situation. There can hardly be any randomized control studies, and this can only be done in the hands-on training and things like that. And with the COVID-19 epidemic, we do not know how long we will not be able to go for those one-to-one hands-on trainings, and this kind of webinars must be useful in doing so. Though we are commanding a lot of respect universally with our expertise in resuscitation, and the meaning of resuscitation, if you look at it, is revival of an unconscious or apparently dead person. Now, what I want to emphasize and what Dr. Patwa has been crusading for is that we should not only be expert in reviving the unconscious and apparently dead, but we should also acquire expertise in preventing sure death of a patient because of unanticipated, mismanaged, unanticipated, difficult intubation. Remember, oxygenation is the key. Therefore, you need to activate a CVF and only at that stage. Otherwise, you are sure going to have brain hypoxemia, and it is going to end up in death of the patient. Oxygen is essential to keep the flame of life burning. And I wrap up on the note that it is essential to learn this skill and practice it on modules. Most of the medical colleges, departments may not have those many things on which you can have, because wet labs are not common, and these skills can be perfected only in the simulation labs. With that, I thank Dr. Patwa and congratulate him for his enlightening talk on it, and some of the concepts of the audience have been very much cleared about it. I would recommend once again that besides listening to his very nice talk, they should also go again to the issue of Indian Journal of Anesthesia, where this article was published in 2016. And with that, I hand over the mic to the organizers, Dr. Atul Purohit, so that Dr. Patwa can felicitate and issue the certificates to the participants, to be followed by vote of thanks by Dr. Atul Purohit. So thank you, Dr. Patwa, and my congratulations to you. And we had few questions, but because of paucity of time, it could not be questioned. Thank you so much. Over to Dr. Purohit.
Dr. Atul, please unmute yourself. You are muted.
Yeah. Is it all right now? Yeah. Thank you, Avnish sir, for coordinating the session so well, and that you always have been doing it. Now it's time to felicitate the participants, and I'll call them each by their name to come and collect the displayed certificate. The first of all is the leader of the group, Dr. Anshul Vishnoi. Can he be displayed on the screen, please?
The first certificate, please.
Yes. And the certificate also? Well, Anshul, this certificate is for you, virtual, and you'll get it, of course. The next one, Dr. Ayush Gupta. Yes. Just raise your hand, please. Yes, Ayush, congratulations. Well participated. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Dr. Sakshi Kanoji.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Good. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Shubham Jain.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shubina Gupta.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. And finally, Dr. Swati Gupta.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So yes, these are the certificates. Dr. Swati Gupta is getting it, and you'll all get it one by one. But now, as is customary, I've always been given the duty of thanking everybody who had come and who has participated. So one by one, of course, I'd like to do my duty as always. The first one is Dr. Apesh Patwa, sir. I'm so much thankful to you and gratified, and it's been such a lovely session, as you have always done it. Dr. Apesh, I thank you from the deepest of my heart, and I'm sure everybody else of the forum and the participant would join me in thanking you for that. Thank you so much for enlightening us with some very basic concepts and actually removing our misconceptions that we always have carried. CICO is the only trigger for cricothyroidotomy was 100% people said so, and it was absolutely wrong. Great to know that, and thank you. Thank you so much. All these residents sitting in
Indian guidelines.
Of course. All these residents sitting in front of me, thank you all for participating. It was not possible without you, and you made it look so interesting. Your entire team was.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Video was good, sir.
Indeed, it was. And of course, I would fail in my duty if I don't thank the coordinator, Dr. Avnish D. Avnish sir has been the anchor, and not only this one, he's always been like this. We always tend to give him this duty, and he does so well. Sir, thank you so much for being with us and as a guide and as a teacher that you've been always. So thank you so much for participating in this one as well. I would thank all the participants for whatever number that we have had who have participated in this online. It would never have been possible to organize this and to hold this had you not be there. Thank you, all the participants. Also, my heartfelt thanks go to the event people, virtual MNC, who have organized it and who have made it possible. Also, finally, last but not the least, I would thank all the trustee members of Regional Anesthesia Forum Trust, by whose permission we could do it, and they have granted us the resources and the permission to do it. Thank you very much. I think with this we come to end of this very lively session that we have had, and only to tell you that friends, see you next week, the same time, the same day, for another last and the final session of this airway management webinar. I hope to see many more of you in much larger numbers. Thank you very much for having participated in this, and thanks all once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Stay. Let them just switch us off the live.